Hi, I'm Lorraine. Welcome to the District Yoga. Today's class is going to be a class geared for runners. So this can be done either pre or post run to rehydrate the tissues that you're working while you're running. You are going to need a couple props, one block and one myofascial release ball or tennis ball. I do have a smaller ball just because sometimes I like having a smaller ball when I work my feet. If you don't have one, that's absolutely okay to just have that regular standard size tennis or myofascial ball. And then go ahead and set those off to the side. We are going to start with our feet. So again, I'm going to use that smaller one and I'm going to stand up and come on to that ball. I'm just going to come on to the center of that ball. So I'm going to lean in and lean back, just allowing myself to find a pressure that feels appropriate. And again, we're in the center of the foot, both length and widthwise. And we're just leaning forward and back. So we're going to touch a couple places that you tend to touch when you're running, right? So as we think about running, the pad of the toes definitely has impact on whatever surface you're running on. And then even the heel. So we're going to touch those two areas. Just lean forward a little bit here. Take a couple breaths. And then we're going to move that ball to the heel. So let the toes come on to the mat. Let the heel come on to that ball. And then just give yourself, again, a couple breaths, a couple moments just to find that right pressure for you. And again, if you need to adjust, you can find something that feels appropriate. And then just settle in there, giving yourself a couple moments, a couple breaths. And then we're going to move from side to side with that ball. So the toes, or really the pad of the toes, is going to stay on the mat. And we're just going to move from left to right across that heel. Right away, you might start to feel kind of some ropey muscles there. Just notice that. Just be aware of that. Take a couple breaths. Yes. Last 3, for 2, and 1. We're going to find our way to the top. So that pad edge of the toes. So find your way to the top in the center of that area. And then again, heel is on the mat here. Toes are hanging over. Just take a couple moments just to allow the pressure to sink into the foot. Take a couple breaths. And again, this is definitely a contact point that you have when you're running. We'll just, similar to the heel, move side to side when we add this movement. And for me, this is where I feel a ton of sensation. I don't feel too much in the back of my heel, but might be completely different for you. I'm going to move again from pinky toe to big toe edge, just side to side. Finding a pressure that feels good, finding a pace that feels good. If you like to go faster, you can. If you like to go slower, typically slower is better when you feel a lot of sensation. It depends on the day. Sometimes one foot for me has a ton of sensation and the other's just kind of that middle of the road. So it might be different for you on each day that you come to this. Know that that's okay. Take your last couple breaths just from side to side there. Beautiful. Take an inhale. Exhale that out. Just come to standing at your mat anywhere here, or if you don't have a mat, just come to standing. Let the feet really press into the earth. Maybe notice any differences from one side to the other. Maybe one side feels flatter to the earth. Maybe one side the toes feel a little more spread out. Maybe that sensation running up the leg. Take an inhale. Exhale that out. We're going to switch sides. So just coming on to the middle, both width and lengthwise of the foot. Letting the feet just fall, letting that pressure. And then again, we started out rocking, so we're going to do that too. So just lean back and lean forward, finding a pressure that feels appropriate each time you lean forward. And this is really just to get a sense, just to get a feel for what's happening at the bottom of the foot, just to kind of say your hello or check into the bottom of the foot, letting those tissues know that we're about to kind of work into that space. Last couple breaths. Just find your way to stillness. Breathe, breathe, breathe. My heel is on the mat. My toes are hanging over just slightly. Couple breaths. If you're with me, we're going to come to that heel again. So bring the toes onto the mat, that pad of the toes onto the mat, and just press in to that heel. So allow that pressure to sink into that bottom of the heel, finding a little compression there, working into that fascia there. And just breathe. And for me, as we add movement, left to right sometimes feels different. And that's just likely because I have one more dominant foot. So find your way to movement left to right. Again, that pad of the toes can stay on the mat or on your space. And we're just moving side to side. It doesn't have to be massive movements. It doesn't have to be fast movements, but it could be if you wanted more quickly paced movements. Find your last couple breaths, just side to side. We're really cross-fibering the tissues in and around the bottom of that heel. For 2. Last one, massive breath in. Breathe it out. We're going to come to the top side. So I'll turn so you could see the other way. We're going to come to that pad of the toes. So bring the ball first in the center and then just find some pressure that feels good for you. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then if you liked that movement from side to side, we are going to add that pinky toe to big toe edge movement. And it might be a little harder if you have the larger ball to keep the heel on the mat, so don't feel like that has to be glued by any means. And again, you might need to go a little bit slower to keep that ball underneath. Whew. For me, I feel a ton of sensation on my left foot. But it feels, slightly different for me on the left side. I think on the other side, I felt a lot more kind of ropey muscles, whereas this to me feels a little bit more sandy, a little gristly. Last couple breaths. For 3. If you need to readjust the ball, you can. For 2. Last one. Beautiful. Set that ball off to the side. Just come to standing again. Let the feet be maybe wide as your hips. Let the hands come down the side body. Spine tall. Just notice. Maybe both feet feel a little more symmetrical here. Take a big breath in. Massive breath out. We're going to make our way onto our mats or onto the floor, and we're going to grab that block on our way down. We're going to grab the block, and I'm going to turn off to the side so you can see this. I'm going to place it on the lowest height, and then I'm going to grab that standard size or tennis ball sized ball. Tennis ball sized ball. And I'm going to plant through that left foot on the mat. I'm going to find a place through the calves here. So obviously as runners, calves are definitely a place that might hold tension for us and might feel strained or sore after a run. So we're just going to let the foot just hang heavy for a couple moments, the hands can come behind you to be a little bit of extra support. Take a couple breaths just to kind of feel that there. And then if you're with me, we're just going to first add movement to the foot. So just go and flex through the toes and point through the toes. And right away, you might notice that one feels a lot more sensation than the other. So as an example, I feel a lot more sensation when I point my toes versus when I flex. But that's not to say that it's doing more work when I point my toes. It's just that muscle, when I extend through my foot, feels that ball or that compression of the ball a little bit more, and I feel that additional sensation. So again, we're just moving, pointing, and flexing through the toes, and we're just breathing. Last couple breaths. And you don't have to do these tools very long or these techniques very long to get the benefits of them. Really, after 30 seconds, you're going to feel that hydration of the tissues come back in. That circulation. From here, find stillness. And then we're going to move the ball from left to right. So again, cross-fibering the tissues in and around that calf. Whew. My calves are a little sore today, so I'm going to go slow. But again, find your pace. Just left to right. If there's a place where you're like, oh, I need to stay, find it. For me, it's on that right side edge of this calf. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to breathe a couple moments. Otherwise, you can just keep moving. If you're done staying, you could maybe even go a little bit further than you did on that side. Making sure the ball doesn't fall off that block. Last 5. For 4, I'm going to pick up the pace for me in these last couple breaths. For 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly remove that ball and the block off to the side. I just want you to take a couple moments to notice. So bring both legs long in front of you. And then take a few breaths here. Maybe you notice one leg feels a little bit longer already. And that could be a centimeter or a millimeter longer. Maybe the right toes fall a little further. For me, I definitely see a noticeable shift on my right side than my left side. And we're just going to switch sides. So I'm going to bend through that right knee, place that block on its lowest height. If you wanted that middle height, you could, but I just like that I have more surface area, and I don't feel like I absolutely need to have the highest height to get what I need out of it, get the benefits out of it. Placing the hands behind you. Again, just take a couple moments just to let the ball sink into that calf. Take a couple breaths. We will get to the movement, so there's never any rush. Beautiful. We're going to add the movement of the foot to start out. So point through the toes and then flex through the toes. Just gently moving through those 2 movements. Maybe noticing if this side feels any different. And it might very well feel different because you might actually be on a different part of the calf than you were on the other side. I feel like I'm actually dead center in my calf muscle here, where I might have actually been a little bit more to the right on my right side. So just be aware of that. No need to change it unless you wanted to change it. Pointing and flexing. Last 3. Last 2. And 1. Find stillness again. Let that ball sink in just a little more. Big inhale. Massive exhale. And then again, we're going to find that movement from left to right, cross-fibering the tissues. Again, if there's a place you want to stay, or in fact, if you notice, I'm kind of leaning my foot to the left a little bit more so that I'm staying a little bit more on the outside edge of that calf. That's where I have a couple tender spots that I want to stay in, but I want to keep moving, you could do that too. Or if you want to do the opposite and lean the toes inward and kind of stay on that inner edge of the calf, there's many ways to dissect this or to move through that muscle. Ultimately, although we're using the myofascial or the tennis ball to hydrate the tissues, you definitely touch into that deep muscle, right? So myofascial release, we're technically touching into the superficial part of the tissues, just right underneath the skin, the fascia that connects there. But obviously, we touch into the larger, deeper muscle as well. It's hard to miss. They're all intertwined together. Last couple breaths, side to side. Beautiful. Take an inhale. Stay there as you exhale. Slowly remove that block and that ball off to the side. Again, just extend both legs out. Maybe notice how this feels. Any symmetry between both sides. Maybe you notice a sensation rushing back in to that left side, the blood flow coming back there, the hydration of the tissues up through the legs. Last little thing, we're going to touch into the hamstrings. And this one, for a lot of people, tends to feel a lot of things. We're going to touch into the center of the hamstring. If you feel like when we get there it's not enough, you can always move back or move forward in your hamstring wherever you need. And I'm actually going to face you. So we're going to bring the feet just a little bit wide. So not super, super wide, not your widest straddle. And again, I'm center on my ball. Take a couple breaths. I like to lean forward just to add a little bit more pressure to the ball. If that was way too much pressure, you can always lift back upright or even lean back to relieve some of that. But again, for me, I like to lean a little bit forward just to add a little bit more. Take a couple breaths. This will be our last technique today. And ultimately a good one. So we started with the feet moving up to the calves and now into the back of that thigh. So it should feel good. Again, pre or post run for you. Let's go and add movement. So I'm just going to move, lightly hover that right foot and move from left to right. Ooh. Again, if you feel like you know yourself and you want to move up or back in the hamstrings, absolutely find what feels appropriate for you. It might change by day, right? Or in fact, if you wanted to continue doing this on each part or each third of that hamstring, you could. We're just going to do one today. Take a breath in. Massive breath out. Set the foot down and then just slowly windshield wiper the foot from left to right. And this one might be super, super subtle. Last couple breaths. I'm still kind of leaning forward. Again, you could still be leaning back if it was a little too much. You could always add a blanket on top of a ball if it was way too much. Last 3, for 2, and 1. Go ahead and release that ball. Again, just set it down. Take a couple breaths. Let the feet fall naturally as they do. Notice the back of that leg. We're going to make our way to the other side. And again, this will be our last little bit, coming in to the center of that hamstring, the middle of the way from the knee up. And we're just going to take a couple moments. Again, finding stillness to start out. I'm leaning forward. You could be upright or leaning back, depending on your body and your sensations. Just stay and breathe. For most of us, the feedback from this, the ball And utilizing these tools is pretty immediate. So that's why I tend to really like integrating this into my own practice, right? It's such a practice that I can notice that impacts my body right away. Take your last couple moments. And so this is why it's so nice before or after a run to add these techniques. Go ahead and move that leg from side to side. Again, maybe hovering that left foot, taking a couple breaths. Cross fibering the tissues, those thick muscles of the hamstring. Last 3 for 2 and 1. Slowly set that foot back down, maybe lean a little forward again. Last little bit, just go ahead and keep the ball where it is and move that foot, just windshield wiper it side to side. Breathe, breathe, breathe. So although we're not touching the knee, this movement of the foot in and out does work a little bit of that joint and helping lubricate it as well. Take a couple breaths. Making sure we find movement through that knee joint is also key, right? Take a breath in. Find stillness on the breath out. Go ahead and release that ball off to the side. Just extend the legs out long. I just want you to take a couple moments. Let the eyes close to notice. We worked through the feet, all the way up through the calves, and just finishing off through the hamstrings. You should feel light and maybe a little warm through that lower body here. Maybe wiggle the toes to come back to yourself. We will say that is it for this pre or post run myofascial class. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.